Hello inner tubes, different spokes here in the deep freeze of Canadian winter. Well, it's bike show season here in Canada, and Brooke and I are going around to all the bike shows, kicking tires, maybe even looking for a possible replacement for her Honda CB500F. We're happy with that bike, but you know, it's always fun to dream, and it's nice to go out and check out some new stuff when the bike show comes around. So I'm riding a Moto Guzzi Stelvio 1200 MTX right now, and I'm happy with that. But Brooke is riding her Honda, and she's also happy with it, but we do have some criteria that we want to fulfill with the second bike that we own that her bike doesn't fully fulfill. Namely, we want to put the bike on the back of an RV and go on vacation, and when we get to our destination, both jump on the bike and ride it around two up. Just exploring, shopping, generally getting around on the motorcycle so we don't have to drive the RV everywhere. So Brooke's bike is great for that. It meets the weight requirement for it, but unfortunately it's a little too small to be comfortable for two people. So we're gonna look around and see what other possibilities exist that meet the weight criteria that we have. Now, the main criteria that we have for any bike that replaces the Honda CB500F that Brooke has right now is weight. It's crucial that any bike that we get weighs under 400 pounds. You see, we want to put a bike carrier on the back of our RV. Our RV has a maximum tongue weight of 500 pounds, and with the bike carrier weighing 100 pounds, that leaves about a 400 pound window for any possible replacement for Brooke's bike. In addition, any bike we get has to be comfy for the two of us. That's one of the faults of the Honda right now. It's not really a comfortable bike for the two of us to ride two up, especially if you're going to go for a longer ride, a couple hours. It would get pretty tiring, two of us stuck on a little 300cc bike. The bike also has to have enough power to carry both of us, especially at high altitude, especially in the mountains. Brooke's current bike can carry both of us, but it's going to be wheezing pretty hard to get up the mountains with the two of us on it, especially loaded down with some extra equipment if we go hiking or shopping or anything else like that. So we need a little bit more power than Brooke's bike currently has. It would be nice if it was highway capable two up. So that means it has to be able to stay at highway speeds without breathing too hard with the two of us both on it. That would be really one of the criteria that would govern whether we choose the bike or not. The final thing that we're looking for, it's not super crucial, but it would be nice if it was off-road capable. An off-road capable bike always expands your capabilities and makes things a little bit more interesting when you're off in secluded spaces where there might be dirt or gravel roads all around. And of course, it has to be a bike that's easy enough to ride for Brooke to be comfortable on it. She is still a beginner, she just got her license and she's still learning. So it can't be too big or too heavy for her, or too high a seat height or anything along those lines, or too powerful for that matter. So it has to be something that's beginner friendly, but also have enough power for both of us to go around to all the different places we want to explore. So we checked out several bikes, and the first bike we checked out was Brooke's favorite, the Honda CB500X. Now this is an excellent bike. It looks great. It's very nice, high quality, and rides nicely. I've test ridden it already. It's capable of carrying two people. It's got a big enough engine, a 471cc parallel twin. It's got enough power to stay on the highway. It is off-road capable, and it's not too tall for Brooke. However, it's got two fairly significant drawbacks. One, it's fairly expensive. The model was upgraded in 2019 with a larger front wheel, longer suspension. Brooke really likes the upgrades, but at the same time, 2019 models are hard to come by, and the new ones cost over $8,000 Canadian, which is a little bit more than we're willing to spend right now. The second drawback is the weight. The bike weighs 430 pounds wet, which means if you empty the fuel tank, it comes in right at that 400-pound limit, but being right at the limit is a little bit iffy. It'd be nice if it was a little bit under the limit, just so we're sure that no damage to the hitch receiver occurs while we're driving around. One of my personal favorite choices, and one that Brooke likes as well, is the Suzuki SV650. I like it for the power. It's a fun bike to ride and it looks good. It's a little bit less expensive than the Honda. It's possible to find used ones for relatively lower prices. I've seen them for as low as $6,000 Canadian. There are definitely advantages to this bike. 75 horsepower is a big advantage for me. And it's fun and good looking and definitely powerful enough. However, this bike has two major drawbacks. One, it's not that comfortable. The seat is a bit of a plank. Yes, you can replace the seat, but that raises the price, makes it a little bit less wallet friendly. And the other disadvantage is the weight. This is one of the heavier bikes in the class. It actually weighs in at 430 pounds wet, which again, if you empty the tank, you can get it down to about 400 pounds. But again, this makes it borderline overweight for this particular function for being put on the back of the RV. And I don't know if I want to take a chance with a bike that's right on the borderline. Now, maybe the most practical of all the bikes is the Suzuki DR650 Dual Sport. This bike meets almost all of the criteria. It's light enough, coming in at under 370 pounds dry. It's definitely powerful enough to bring us around 2 up and reach highway speeds. It's got some off-road capability, and it's a really nice low-tech bike which would be easy to fix and easy to service. These also have a reputation for being quite reliable and pretty much bulletproof. However, there are some disadvantages to this bike. Low tech is low tech, and when you're up at high altitude, a carburetor may not perform optimally and may not deliver the power that it delivers at sea level. The other thing is a 5-speed gearbox is not as nice as a 6-speed gearbox. Even though it is geared properly, it's just nice to have the 6. And finally, this bike is quite tall. There is a lowering kit for it, which drops it down 1.5 inches, but that costs extra money, so you have to factor that into the price. However, this bike is still in consideration because it is so comfortable and it can probably carry a lot of gear with us as we're going around and keep us comfortable and go anywhere we want to go. Now, we also checked out some Kawasaki's when we were at the bike show, and the first one we checked out was the Versys 300X. Now, this bike is a nice little adventure bike. It's got the engine from the Ninja 300, not the Ninja 400, but the previous generation Ninja 300, and it is definitely a possibility. It's light enough, coming in at 386 pounds wet. It is definitely somewhat off-road capable and highway capable. I think it might be stretching it to say that it is going to keep up with traffic with 2 people on it, but it's got about 40 horsepower, so perhaps. There are some disadvantages to this bike though. One, the seat is really hard and kind of wide. Not the greatest seat in the world. So you have to replace that, which you have to factor into the price of the bike. 2, you have to rev the engine quite hard in order to keep up any kind of pace. This bike has enough power, but you have to rev it out in order to keep it at speed. We want to keep it relaxed, and this bike is a little bit peaky and a little bit screamy. Now, of course, we checked out the Kawasaki KLR650. It would be a possibility if it was a little bit smaller. This bike is just too big. I mean, weight-wise, if you empty the fuel tank, it will come in under 400 pounds, but all of those 400 pounds are very top-heavy. The bike is really tall. It's got a seat height that is too high for Brooke to feel comfortable on, and if it was her only bike, she would be a little hesitant to be going riding. It's just too big. The advantages of this bike are huge fuel tank, big range, very comfortable for 2, and all of those things are great. It can stay on the highway all day if you wanted to, get up a hill, lots of torque, but the disadvantage is just too big. There's too much bike there for a beginner rider with a smaller inseam with a 35-inch seat height. It's just too much for Brooke. So as much as we like the KLR, the sheer size of it just disqualifies it from this comparison. We also had a look at the KLX250. This bike is super light at 320 pounds. It looks good according to me in the gray camo. Brooke didn't like the gray camo. She likes the green, Kawasaki green, which is a little bit loud, but more visible in fairness. However, the bike has a smaller fuel tank. It has only 20 horsepower. It would not keep up with the two of us on it, and the seat is not quite as comfortable. So this bike, as nice as it is, it's just a little too small and a little underpowered to carry two people around all over the place, especially up mountains. Now, one more bike that we checked out was the Yamaha MT07. Yes, this is a classic. Yes, this is a great bike. It definitely has plenty of power. It's zippy. It's a hooligan-y bike, which is great for me, but maybe a little bit too much, a little bit too peppy for Brooke. She's coming off a 300, and this thing may be a little bit just too fast for her. The other things that are drawbacks to this bike are that it tends to be a little bit pricier than its competitor, the SV650. Generally, it costs about $1,000 more around here to buy one of these than a 650 Suzuki. And the other drawback to it is small and not the most comfortable for two people. It will definitely keep up. It's got tons of power. However, it doesn't have a lot of carrying capacity, and passenger comfort is definitely sacrificed for nice looks and a slim little passenger seat in the back. So there's no hurry to get a bike right now, but it sure doesn't hurt to do a little dreaming. We're definitely looking at all of these bikes and possibly even hotly anticipating the new KTM 390 Adventure, which looks pretty nice as well. We'll check that out at the next show, the manufacturer's show that's coming to Toronto soon, and we'll report back on that for you. All of these bikes are nice bikes, and any one of them would serve its owner really well, but we're kind of looking for just the perfect one. So we'll keep on looking. Maybe we'll get it next year, maybe we'll get it the year after. But in any case, it is exciting to do some bike shopping. Thanks for coming along and sharing this experience with us. Which bike would you choose and why? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep the rubber side down, shiny side up, and may the spokes be with you.